AITA for bringing my wheelchair-bound boyfriend to my brother's no+1 wedding? My F31 brother M33 got married days ago. He and his now wife sent me an invitation and mentioned a no+1 rule, meaning that I wasn't allowed to bring my wheelchair-bound boyfriend of 4 years with me. I tried to dicus an exception for this rule because, for one, my boyfriend is family and no one would deny that fact, and two, I could not find proper arrangements to have someone watch him. I'm his primary caregiver. While I was gone, I brought him with me to the wedding. My brother and his bride were livid and picked up an argument with me about it. My brother said some hurtful stuff, but I was glad he didn't say it in front of my boyfriend. I told him it's not like my boyfriend was making a fuss or being distracting. He just remained quiet and respectful of everyone around him. My brother argued that none of that mattered and that the trust and respect he had for me was gone the minute I decided to stomp on his wedding boundaries and override the rules. My parents understood my side but also said that it was my brother's wedding and I should have respected the rule he had for non-official couples. We've not been talking since the wedding. I tried calling him but keep getting hung up on. His wife texted me yesterday to stop calling. AITA? It's not like I brought a hyperactive child to the wedding. I think he might have overreacted, but I'm not sure. Info. Is your boyfriend an adult? If he needs personal assistance, why isn't he the one arranging that while you're gone? And why do you refer to personal assistance as watching him, like you're getting a babysitter? Did your boyfriend want to go? Why isn't what he thought wanted a factor in this story at all? Why do you generally talk about him like he's a child? E.g., it's not like he was making a fuss. Ugh. Guy in a wheelchair here. Although I'm fully self-sufficient. This makes me feel for your BF. Not only did you disrespect your brother's wishes, you made your boyfriend the center of more attention than was warranted. You say he remained quiet and respectful. He probably was quiet because he wanted to crawl under a rock. Hey, look at me. I'm the cause of strife at a wedding through no fault of my own. YTA. YTA. When it comes to weddings, you either follow the rules or decline the invite. It's always an option to RSVP no. In fact, the most likely way for you to have gotten a +1 for your boyfriend was to RSVP no, and if it was really important for your brother to have his siblings there, he'd have to give you permission to bring your boyfriend. This is the same as bringing a kid to a child-free wedding. You don't get to bring uninvited guests to a wedding. Period. YTA. You do not bring an uninvited guest to a wedding. End of story. If you weren't happy that your boyfriend wasn't invited and had nobody else to care for him, then you decline the invitation. Just like people with children who get invited to a child-free wedding. You don't get to dictate the guest list of someone else's event whether or not you agree with it. That's extremely selfish and rude. Do I agree with your brother for not allowing significant others at the wedding? No. Does it matter that you or I don't agree with him? Also no. Feels like this has a lot of missing information. I could not find proper arrangements to have someone watch him. I'm his primary caregiver. While I was gone, unless you received the wedding invitation less than a week before the ceremony, I strongly suspect you didn't try to find someone. It shouldn't have been that difficult to get a home health nurse for the day. YTA. YTA. Although I have a funny feeling this is going to get edited to reveal more of what your brother said after it becomes clear the voting's not going to go the way you want it to. He said no +1s. If you found that disrespectful to your relationship or simply impractical, then your option was to decline your invitation and stay home. Not have your boyfriend crash the party because you decided that wouldn't be overly disruptive. Your boyfriend's condition is irrelevant. YTA. He wasn't invited. You were okay to ask and declined the invitation. Then you should have RSVP'd no. Food costs money and there needs to be a space for each guest. So you aren't entitled to show up with whoever you feel like bringing. He's legally not family either. So it's possible your boyfriend doesn't view him that way even if you are in a serious relationship. YTA. Not only did you go against a rule, you attempted to use your BF's disability to get your way. You should be ashamed. YTA. I get it. You guys have been in a long-term relationship. Guess what though? He wasn't invited and you didn't have a +1. Either respect the wishes of the event hosts, brother plus bride, or don't go if you don't agree. Just because your boyfriend is in a wheelchair, or the fact it's your brother's wedding doesn't entitle you to completely stomp all over these boundaries. If I were the person you did this to, 100,000% you would be getting the bill for the meal etc. For all you know, your bother could be now facing a fine for being over the limit on people, which could be the reason behind the no +1s rule. Did anyone else get a +1? I am just wondering if you were the only one who didn't get one. Info. Was the no +1 rule for everyone or just you? Were other long-term partners invited? What was the wedding head count? YTA. Their rule was dumb. But it's their wedding and they get to make dumb rules. You should have simply not attended and stayed home with BF if they were unwilling to make an exception and you were unable to find alternative care for your partner. YTA. The solution was to decline the invitation. Info. Were you the only sibling or close relation without a +1 invite, or was this the same for every other guest? So, everyone else who was denied a +1 doesn't matter because they're not considered family? Sorry. But your boyfriend being in a wheelchair doesn't change anything about this scenario or give you more rights than anyone else. They said no +1s. You still brought a +1. Your boyfriend isn't a baby. But you're like that person who brings a newborn anyways when kids aren't allowed. YTA. It's a sucky situation but you didn't think it would matter, but that's not your call to make. YTA. Your invitation didn't include a +1. The fact that your so is a wheelchair user isn't relevant. Your perception of your so being family is not relevant. You should have remained home with your so if you couldn't arrange for a caregiver. Your brother and his wife are definitely giant assholes for at least not considering making an exception for him since you have to care for him, but you shouldn't have gone if they told you no. There can be exorbitant charges for having more people than you originally reserved for. YTA. It's their wedding and you should have respected it. You blindsided them and thought that they wouldn't do anything about it if you brought your BF. It's their wedding and they decide what's allowed. If you didn't like that, then you shouldn't have come. Info. Did you ask your boyfriend if he wanted to go at a wedding where he was not welcome? I am thinking of him feeling like an inconvenience with no means to escape the stares from the bride and groom. I would be mortified.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.